Good morning, guys. It is officially day 7 of me in Australia. As you can see, I've brought a bit of home comfort with me. Today is, because of the horrific weather we are having, today is all about your nutrition and eating when you can't move. Now, like I've said before, it's very, very simple in order to lose weight, build muscle. It's all mathematics. I out here am struggling very hard because I don't have food scales. I don't have body weight scales. And so I'm finding it very hard in order to lose weight and build muscle all at the same time, because I don't, like I've said, I work off maths and I don't have any maths to go by at the moment, so it's all guesswork. Now obviously there's good guesswork and there's bad guesswork. The breakfast I've just had this morning is virtually 0 carb. It was spinach, rocket, mushrooms, bacon and eggs. That's quite literally it. I mean, the only thing I remove from that meal that I would have normally is bread. Okay, so by removing 200 calories worth of carbs that realistically I don't need because I'm not burning any calories. What I need is the nutritional side of things from the protein and the healthy fats. And then we don't need just carbs to bulk up the calories. Generally, that's what I use my carbs for, is just to bulk my calories out. Instead, on days like this, you need to be focusing specifically on nutrition. So having carbs in forms of fruit and vegetables, much better for you than having bread and wraps. You know, so today, rather than having my chicken fajita wraps that I have normally, I will be having chicken fajita salad. Again, rather than my steak sandwich, steak salad. It's just because it's unnecessary carbs. Now, I will be eating carbs before and after my workout in order to make sure I get the most out of my workout, because I'm still working out every day. You know, being trapped inside, I don't see any reason why not. You know, I haven't had a rest day since I've been here, but I've just been enjoying it. And so yeah, I'll be having carbs an hour before and then probably an hour after my workout, and they'll be the only carbs I have today, and it'll be quite a small amount, I would say. But yeah, generally speaking, it's you just have to think about it. So I mean, my diet has not changed from home to here. I mean, there have been some things I've had to get over in terms of the differences between shops. So I found Aldi over here, which is almost like Aldi at home, which is quite nice. So I've been trying to recreate the exact same meals I recreate at home. Granted, it is a little bit hard because it's like I say, you don't get everything over here that you do get at home. I'm very used to buying my massive bags of frozen chicken. I haven't been able to find frozen chicken here, and all my different size eggs at home. You don't get different sized eggs here that I have found. It's just sort of free range and caged, and then they're all sort of the same mix matchy. And so it's just adapting to living in a different country. It's something that I never thought. There's so many different challenges that I have faced that I didn't think that I would face. If I'm going to be honest, I thought it would be a lot more plain sailing in terms of nutrition out here, especially considering how much this country values fitness, nutrition, and all of the healthy stuff. And, you know, they really care about their agriculture. You know, it's absolutely fantastic to be here and to see it all. But yeah, it is not cheap either. I thought it would be. I knew it was going to be expensive, especially living in Sydney in Australia. Like, I knew it was going to be expensive, but I did not think that it would be this expensive. So I compare everything to English prices. Obviously, I've always lived in England, so I always sort of, you know, obviously I've always lived in England, so I haven't had any base of comparison for any other country. The only thing that I find extreme extortionate, I mean absolutely extortionate, is the gyms. I've not found a gym under 120 bucks a month, which is around 60 or 70 pounds a month. And considering I'm used to paying 20 pounds a month, you know, which is all of about 40 or 50 bucks, yeah, that's why but I did not come here to go to a gym. I came here to prove that you don't need to have a gym. And so in my gym's over there on the table, ready to go for later on. So yeah, nutrition out here, I mean, I have been purposefully trying to keep my steps massively through the roof. You know, there's so much to explore, there's so much for me to do. The past few days I've been hitting around you know, a minimum of 12,000 to, you know, upwards of 15, 17,000 a day on top of getting my workouts in. So, you know, really focusing on that nutrition, trying to get the most volume out of your food with the lowest amount of calories is always the goal. So, you know, and especially in this country, I've wanted salads and I've wanted much lighter food than I'm much used to at home, because at home it's very cold, it's very wet, it's very windy, it's just horrible. So you want big hearty meals that really fill you up, they're really warming, they're just lovely, you know. So I was really enjoying my curries and my massively thick bagels and just horrifically dense food. Whereas out here it's so hot all the time. I don't know why. The climate really does change the way you eat, I think. It's just the aircon going on. And so I've been having hot and cold salads, which has been really interesting to sort of experiment with. And I've been having much, I don't know if it's less calorie dense food. Like every time I eat, like I tried to have my bagels that I have at home and I nearly threw up. I don't know why. I mean, and it was just too much food all at once. I just started sweating horrifically. It was just absolutely abysmal. I mean, I waited till I was normally hungry. Like everything, nothing had changed apart from my location. So that's something that's been very interesting. Something I've been having to get used to. Can you hear the rain? Oh. Absolutely flipping horrible. So it's going to be like this, unfortunately, for the next week, and I'm not looking forward to it at all. Put you back down. So yeah, you just have to be smart about it. Obviously, depending on your personal situation. I mean, I could buy an umbrella, but that means I'd have to venture out, find an umbrella, so I'd get absolutely pissing wet. It's not really the plan. Yeah, something that really surprised me was the types of food that I want to eat is extremely different over here. Like I've not wanted curries and I've not wanted massively big hearty meals like pies and steaks and different things like that. I've wanted little like salads. I've been having like little tortilla wraps, and Mexican food is something I have absolutely fallen in love with over here. I mean, I've always liked Mexican food at home, but for some reason, it's something I never really experimented with because I never thought it was never big enough. Back home, I had to have these enormous, great big meals. I'm sure I have shown you the odd meal or two here. They're just enormous. The calories are through the roof because, you know, I was eating, sort of a minimum of 2,800 calories back home. And now that I'm moving a lot less, my calories have just fallen off a cliff. They really have, which is a shame. But obviously, you know, I understand that, you know, it is what it is. They probably will come back again, you know, when I start going out, running around, doing different things with different people, I probably will need the calories more again. But as it stands at the moment, especially this week with me doing absolutely nothing, I had, salads. It's just going to be salads all day. I am still getting my workouts in, and I am also trying to utilize the space in here as much as possible. I have multiple skipping ropes, so I am skipping for at least half hour a day, and I'm getting my workout and I'm getting my workout in, which is around an hour and a half to 2 hours a day. I'm really taking my time, really focusing on it. Because I've got nothing else to do. Like once I've sat down and done my work in the morning, and you know, I've watched a film, there is a finite amount of things that I have left to do. You know, so obviously being a traveller, I have had to sort my bank account out, I've had to sort my driving licence out, I've had to sort my TFN number out, which is basically a national insurance number for this country. It's a tax code. All sorts of bits and bobs. I've had to look at jobs. I've had to look at my own qualifications. You know, they are now in the post. Oh my God! Thank God for that. When you see this, my videos are all of about 2 months in the backlog. Okay, so yeah. So yeah, I'm recording this 2 months. For me, it's present day, but for you, you're 2 months behind me. because of, at the moment, oh wow, with this whole YouTube thing, I you know, there's so many different ways that I'm going to go with it, because this is a promotion. This is primarily for my clients. The reason I do all this YouTube stuff and the reason I'm doing all of this is for my clients, so they can, without having to contact me, they have an abundance of help and support directly, almost directly from me, that, you know, they can access at any given point. And, you know, there are also private videos that my clients have exclusive access to, and they, again, much more beneficial. They are specific training videos. They're specifically about the programs that I have made, and I can walk them through, and, you know, basically FAQ videos. And so that's been something that, you know, I've been trying to do in the morning, get up, fast, which is something I never do. I've never been able to fast in my entire life. Primarily because I was always so busy at home. I'd wake up, I'd do my Pilates, I'd eat, I'd go to work. I didn't have time to fast particularly. I know that sounds silly, but my body, I've always tried to keep my body, like I say, my whole ethos with losing weight and gaining muscle isn't this massive cut bulk. I really don't like that. You know, obviously it's a very traditional way of doing things, but I think things need to change. I think, you know, with the new times that we're in and the way that the world is going now, you know, there's so many different things we need to open our eyes up to. You know, obviously with mental health, you know where I stand on mental health, and, you know, how much of a succubus this world is, and how people aren't listened to when they should be and they need to be listened to. And this is another thing as well. I know so many. I watched a YouTube video yesterday of a really massive athlete, and he turned around on the YouTube video and said, a weight session burns more than a cardio session. I literally burst out laughing. This guy is 250 pounds. He's an athlete. He's you know, and I was like, that is the most stupid thing I've ever heard in my entire life. You really think lifting weights for all of about a minute, and then having having a minute's rest, and then lifting weight for another minute, and then having a minute's rest is more beneficial than going for a run for an hour? I can't believe it. And the fact that people listen to him and actually believe him, it's all a money-making scheme, you know, at the end of the day. I hate it, you know, and that's why I'm on here telling you this, because, you know, almost for free, because we need to stop all of these, especially young people, getting all this misinformation about fitness. There's so much misinformation out there. You know, everybody thinks that, you know, you go to the gym, and I know a lot of people who just think you have to take steroids in order to look like that. And to be fair, and you do not in the slightest. Look, I know David Lade, a Gymshark athlete, is a perfect example of this. I watched a Facebook video of him yesterday. He was in hospital or doctor's surgery or something, and he had no pump. He looked normal. He looked like a normal guy. Yes, he looked like he went to the gym, but he just looked like a normal guy walking around. And then you go on his Instagram and you see the pumped up photos of him in perfect lighting, probably on something, and on top of that, he would have dieted down specifically for that, to make him look good, to make him look as good as physically possible, like nearly every fitness influencer out there does. You know, I'm probably the only one that will upload fat photos of myself, because I have no embarrassment about my body image. I am so happy with the strength that I'm building and the image that I have. Maybe I don't have, you know, abs all year round, but at the end of the day, I'd rather enjoy my life, you know, when I go home at Christmas time, enjoy my life with my family, go out and drink, you know, party, have fun, safely of course, rather than worrying, you know, abs, you know, who, at the end of the day, it's only yourself primarily that cares about these things. You know, you see all these people in gyms and stuff, and Yeah, it is only you that really cares about it, and it's down to your determination. But at the end of the day, you have to enjoy life. Don't suffer and put yourself through shit for fitness. At the end of the day, are you going to be like that when you're 70 or when you're 80? If you are, awesome. But realistically, most people give up at the age of 40 or 50. I mean, look at Mr. Olympias or anyone at the top of their game, and a lot of them stop training. I know Arnie hasn't stopped training, but I mean, look how small he is now. He's really taken a step back, and he's focusing more on nutrition than he is bodybuilding. He's taking more care of his health because of what damage he's done to himself with steroids and different things, and that's what I think that's what we need to do from the get-go, is worry more about our health and our own physical and mental well-being than it is just getting big. Yeah, don't get me wrong, it's nice to get big, it's nice to have people look at you, but realistically, right, what's more impressive? There's a debate I've had with people for ages. Please comment your answer. Calisthenics or bodybuilding? What's more impressive? Being able to do an L-sit to handstand and then and jump and muscle ups and jumping from pole to pole, and having that coordination to be able to planche and flag. I think that's way more impressive than just having big muscles, because at the end of the day, that's what bodybuilders are. They just have big muscles, and it shows you've put the hard work in. It shows you can be determined and dedicated. But at the end of the day, cool, it's a big muscle. Let's move on. Whereas somebody who does calisthenics, it's like, oh my God, show me how you do that. Show me how you do this. Show me how you do that. When I was down on Bondi Beach training, there were bodybuilders and there were calisthenics people. Guess who got more looks? Especially from women. You guys out there, especially from the women, guess who got more looks? The man doing the human flag, shredded, tiny but shredded human flag off of the side of a massive pole, or a bodybuilder going I just, believe me when I say calisthenics is far more impressive than bodybuilding, in my personal opinion. And as well, I mean, you look at Olympic athletes, they're not huge people necessarily, especially, I know I watch the Olympics, and the Chinese, they're tiny people, and they're snatching like 200, 300 pounds. It's stupid. It's absolutely stupid, but they don't look like Olympic weightlifters. It's amazing. And so that's my whole ethos, is I'd rather be really, really strong rather than really, really big. Because at the end of the day, being really, really strong, I think, is more impressive, and more beneficial to general life. Right. That was nothing to do with nutrition. But I mean, it all comes back to it, because again, calisthenics, if you do calisthenics properly, like when I say properly, I mean the people on the bar. I don't do that, and they flip round and they're doing handstands on like a pull-up bar and stuff like that. That's a lot of movement, and that's probably a lot more cardio than you think it is. So they actually probably burn a lot more calories than an average bodybuilding session. An average calisthenics session versus an average bodybuilding session, I'm comparing, and I would hazard a guess that the calisthenics people probably burn more calories than the bodybuilding people. On top of that, bodybuilders spend hours in a gym. I mean, you have to have so much dedication to spend 2 or 3 hours in a gym. I mean, I've seen, when I was down on Bondi Beach, the calisthenics people were in and out within 45 minutes. I was there for an hour and a half because I do a bit of both. And I was like 30-degree heat, and I haven't trained in 30-degree heat before, so I had to really sit down, drink a lot of water, and console myself. But the bodybuilders were there before I got there, and they were there after I left, and they were just doing set after set after set after set. I mean, they were hyping each other up. I mean, they were ripped, don't get me wrong. I mean, their veins, they were popping out of their eyeballs, and their muscles could have keyed a car. Like, don't get me wrong, it's impressive. I have the utmost respect for bodybuilders, but at the end of the day, it's not massively beneficial. You're going to hit your genetic point, you're going to hit your genetic cap limit, and then you're going to think, Christ, you either stop or take drugs. That's the option. Generally speaking, that's what most people do. Unless you're someone like Christian Guzman, who is just awesome and he just trains and trains and trains and doesn't worry about things like that. I'm 99% confident that man has never taken a steroid in his life. I mean, if you look at him in comparison to some of the Gymshark athletes, or even some of his own Alpha Elite athletes, versus Brandon Hardbody, he's bloody, you know. So you don't. It's something I really disagree with is taking drugs unless you really want to, unless you really thought it through. I mean, there's so many problems with injections and just drugs in general, and like I say, we're here primarily for bettering ourselves physically and mentally. Generally speaking, I'm trying to reach the general population here, and I'm trying to help the masses, because if you take, let me get the figures up again. Okay, right, so going off of the data since 1975 to 2021 is when the study was completed, and they are estimating around 2.1 billion people on this planet are clinically obese. Okay, that's 30% of the population worldwide. Okay, and I mean, if you could probably pinpoint that to two countries, and I'm going to name the UK and the USA, probably. I mean, I think that really surprises me. The United States is 12th on the list of obesity, on the fattest countries on the planet. Number 1 comes in Nauru, and then the Cook Islands, both totaling over 50% of their personal population to be obese. Now, that blows my mind. That does absolutely blow my mind. That you can have a country like that is so clinically overweight and doing nothing about it. But everything I've just read there, the figures are suggesting that worldwide we're going up in weight, as just generally speaking. And obesity causes so many problems for your physical and your mental health. I mean, more for your physical health, obviously, but there's a reason you're getting that fat. You have to look at your personal circumstance and your life as a whole and think, why am I eating this food? Why can't I stop eating food? I have dealt with this problem personally. I was huge, and I used to comfort eat. I have now switched that to comfort starving. I know that's a lot worse. But comfort eating is not good. And now I know my girlfriend back in the day used to smoke when she got stressed. Now I think that's worse than comfort eating, and as well drinking as well. Now obviously I used to smoke to get through things. So and I still smoke. I've still got these little health bars that I found out here. You can't get rid of all your vices all at once. I've really stopped everything. I don't smoke properly anymore. I don't really drink. I just work out. That's my main stress relief, is working out. Comfort eating is obviously a very good coping mechanism, because 2.1 billion people across the world probably use it as their own coping mechanism. Like I say, I've dealt with my problems with comfort eating. I was enormous at one point. If I can ever find a photo of my big chubby cheeks, I will blow them up. And so I think then you have to target that, and you have to find out why you are comfort eating and why you need that comfort in the first place. Whether it's comfort eating, comfort smoking, comfort drinking, it's comforting at some point, and it distracts you from the problems going on in your life. Obviously there's more to all of this. You know, I'm talking about obesity specifically. We could talk about anorexia specifically. They are I think the exact, obviously they're complete opposites, but I think they will relate back to the exact same thing. It all comes back to a starting point of, I would hazard a guess, a traumatic experience of some description, and that's why you feel the need to do these things. You know, one of my best friends has always been really skinny. Always. She was always so skinny. And when she went to work, she was fat shamed for no reason at all. She's beautiful, and you know, she's skinny, she's tall, and she got fat shamed at work because the at work, they just thought it was funny. At the end of the day, they were childish, they were kids, and they just thought it was funny. It's pathetic. It is pathetic to have to ruin somebody's life like that and then make them think that they are less, not as good as somebody else. You're some of the worst kind of people that belittle people for no reason at all, just for your own personal gain. I think that's just wrong on every single level. So she then got more skinny, and I almost to the point of anorexia. But I don't think she was ever anorexic. I don't want to say that, but you know, that's my point. That event stopped her eating and forced her into comfort smoking, comfort drinking, whatever her vice was. We weren't that close at that time, and it pushed her into a hole. You know, that traumatic event, you know, every single day going into work being fat shamed, horrific environment have to be in, you know. So there's that. You know, I'm not talking about some massively traumatic experience from a childhood. I'm talking about something as simple as that will shift your mental barrier and thinking, am I fat? I must be fat. They're telling me I'm fat every single day. I must be fat. I've got to stop eating. Or the other way around, you're so skinny, you force feed yourself. You know, these little things that some people don't even realize, you know, and this does genuinely come back to bullying. At the end of the day, it is just bullying. People do it through school, people do it through work, because they have put themselves on a pedestal. They think they're better than other people, or they have something wrong with them. I don't mean that in a harsh way at all, but if you really do feel like you're better than everyone, then I really do think you need some help, my friend, at the end of the day, because you're not. We are all equal. We're all equal. We're all individuals. You know, I watched this, I saw a quote on Facebook, and it said about a CEO boss who got off of a plane, went over to one of his employees who was looking after his car, and the employee said to him, "Oh, sir, that's a lovely Ferrari." And the boss said, "If you put your hard work in, and if you put your hard work in and work your ass off, I'll have another one next year." And it's like, I understand how the hierarchy of these companies work, but at the end of the day, they are your employees. You need to benefit them to make them want to work for you so you can have that second Ferrari. I really dislike people like that. And this is why I have started this company, because I want equal rights for everybody. You know, I don't think that anybody should have to work less and do less and, you know, have less than everybody else just because they're not as qualified or not as experienced. Like, I understand that you need to have some life experience, you need to have qualification, you need to have something going for you in order to do something. But at the end of the day, that you don't need to shit on someone for no reason at all. That's my entire point. If you take the company side of things out of it, there's no need to shit on someone for no reason. That is my point out of all of that. It probably didn't make any sense, but that's my point. You don't need to shit on people. Like, what's the point? You're not benefiting your life or their life. You might get a laugh out of it, but for what good reason? Are you a good person if you laugh at somebody else's unfortunate circumstance? I just think it's wrong, you know. And again, this comes back to all of this anxiety, depression, and having to deal with your emotions on a daily basis, and then having a vice in order to release that anger and frustration and energy onto something. And then this again comes back to fitness. You know, people always say, "Oh no, I can't do this, I can't do that," you know, and then they'll just sit there and they'll do their comfort thing. They'll eat, they'll smoke, they'll cut themselves, you know, whatever horrible thing that you feel you need to do to yourself to punish yourself. You don't. At the end of the day, you do not. You need to turn whatever has been said to you or done to you and flip it back onto them. And, you know, no, I'm not having that. You know, if somebody comes around to you and says you're fat, you know, shrug it off. And then the best revenge, in my personal opinion, is silence. It's always the best. You know, you're going to go from, and let me use me as an example of this. So when I had some friends that robbed me, and they stole, basically when I went to New Zealand and I went traveling, I left my motorcycle. I had a little motorcycle and I left it with my friends, okay? They stripped it and basically destroyed it and left it for dead. It was horrific. And I came back from New Zealand and they're all lovey-lovey, and then that came out and they were like, oh yeah, and then Andy owed me money, which he said he was going to give back to me, which he never actually gave me. You know, we're talking all of about £1,000. The pit bike was 400 quid and he owed me about 300 or 400 quid. So 800 quid, yeah, nearly £1,000 that I was robbed. And I had to completely distance myself from them. I kicked them out of my life, you know, and to this day, they still message me asking me to meet up because they know they did me wrong. And like I say, the best revenge is silence. You know, when last thing they said to me is, you're going nowhere in life, you're going to do nothing, you're going to be in Ringwood for the rest of your life. Now, the day before I flew, I saw both of them and they were in Ringwood doing exactly what we used to do years before. You know, stupid, illegal, horrible, nasty, no, not going anywhere with their life, not doing anything. They're still riding their push bikes around smoking weed, you know. And so they saw me and laughed, and I saw them, and I looked at them and I just thought, you literally have got nothing going for you, do you? You're going to be in this town when I come back from Australia in 2 years, and it's, you know, you're not going to have done anything with your life at all in the slightest. You know, and I know I should not laugh at other people's misfortune, but that is their choice. Everybody has a choice, and this is one of the biggest things I'll say today. No matter what situation you are in, you have a choice. Now, I was speaking to my friend yesterday about a domestic violence case that she went through, and she said to me that she did not have the option to get out of that. Now, I know when we talk about domestic violence and domestic abuse, it is a very touchy subject, and it's extremely hard to ask for help, especially if you go back even 10 years ago. It was such a taboo subject, and even today it is a taboo subject, and that's what we need to fuck off. No more taboo subject. You know, these people need to be brought to justice, and they should not be allowed to wander around the streets willy-nilly without anybody knowing what they are. Because they are rapists, woman abusers, paedophiles, the worst of the worst of the worst. And the reason they're like that is because of what was done to them. Without a shadow of a doubt, if somebody is a rapist, then I guarantee you they were raped or molested as a child. And if you look at the studies done, that is the trending, not all the time, I'm not saying it's 100% all the time, but if you look at studies, that's the trend. You know, people who rape have been raped or molested, but sometimes they don't even know that that's happened to them because their brain has shut it off. Okay, so you need to, and this is something that this is something again with this whole company that I'm really trying to get out, is to stop this taboo subject and get the stigma out of the water. You know, stop this stigma around this. You can't ask for help, you're trapped. Domestic violence and domestic abuse is some of the hardest things to deal with, especially because, like my friend said to me yesterday, people just won't listen to girls. And it's not, especially this day and age, it's not only girls who get abused and attacked in domestic violence relationships. Men now are coming out and saying they are being attacked in domestic violence relationships because they're so scared of their woman. You know, there was actually a case a couple of years ago where a wife stabbed her husband, and he was so scared to ask for help that he had to stay there. So it's becoming more and more apparent, and we need to be able to ask for help. That's all it is. You know, we need to be able to ask for help, and we need to have people listen to us as well. It's not only asking for help, it's having people listen to us. You know, you call the police and you say, I am being domestically abused, and they come round and see a happy household because you are scared for your life, that you have to put on that face, because the second the police leave, you're going to get battered, you're going to have broken ribs and a broken eye socket. It angers me and frustrates me so much to know that this happens in the world. And so please reach out, an email, a text, you know, anything can happen. I want to create on this website, I want to create a support line and a helpline for something like this. I know it's not going to happen this year, but I hope with the reach that the way that I'm going, I really want to be able to have a helpline. Literally, you know, you call the helpline, you ask for advice what to do, and you know, it's most of the time it's going to be quite simple. Get the out of there. Don't pack a bag, don't take your stuff, leave immediately, shoes or no shoes, get gone, get in a taxi, don't take your phone, you know, go somewhere where they won't know you're going. You know, run away. I know that shouldn't be the answer. You shouldn't have to run away from your home or, you know, from whatever. And I know that not everybody can, because they've got kids and they're worried for their kids' life. You know, so I know, believe me, I know it's not that easy. My mum has done this for many, many years. But that's exactly the point. That's exactly what I want to stop. It needs to be easier for people. We need to listen to everybody as a whole, and life will get better if we all start listening to each other, I think. Okay? I mean, all of this it all comes back to the whole, oh, it stopped raining, I should really go out, but I'm actually having quite fun talking to you. And again, this all comes back to having vices and endangering ourselves and hurting ourselves, and in any way, shape or form, cutting yourself, force feeding, purging, whatever it is. You know, we just need to be happy as a human race. We need to be happier. We are a horrifically depressed and anxious, nervous society, especially in the Western culture. It's horrible. It is really, really horrible. Coming out here, for me, has really opened my eyes, because every country has got it differently. Every country's got it differently. I feel England is probably the worst. I mean, granted, I've not spent much time here yet, so I can't say that, but obviously I've lived my entire life in England. But everywhere you go, and everybody you speak to, they're depressed or anxious. I mean, literally everybody. I don't think I met one person in England that didn't have some sort of psychological thing going on, you know. I have, out of the 10 friends that I would call family, 2 of them are not on antidepressants. Yeah, so 8 out of 10 people that I personally know have got so much going on. And I mean, I know it's invasive, but please, as friendship groups, talk to each other more. You need to, you know, sometimes it's really, really hard to talk to your family. I'm extremely lucky, and my mum is a trauma trained counselor, and my dad is just awesome. So I mean, I've always been able to speak to them about a lot of things, and I know that your personal circumstance, you might not be able to speak to your parents, but you need to be able to speak to someone, your friends. And sometimes friends understand a lot more than parents. I've spoken to my friends about things I haven't spoken to my parents about, because they just wouldn't understand. You know, being as parents, being the older generation, they just don't know sometimes. especially with the younger stuff. And like, my parents have come to me about my sister and some of the things that she's gone through, because they don't understand social media, they don't understand how things work, and so, you know, they had to come to me and ask me my advice. And so I've gone to my friends and asked them their advice. As a friendship group, like, all of my male friends, I say I love them to their face, you know. This is something that, coming over here, I've gotten a lot of stigma for, you know, especially when I've gone to meet people and I've messaged my friends and I put X's after, you know, to my male friends. People have asked me if I'm gay, and no, not particularly. I love my friends. I absolutely love my friends. I have surrounded, thankfully, the past year, I've been able to surround myself with people that really not only care about me, but I care about them. And do you know how hard that is to find in life? My sister, unfortunately, has been horrifically bullied through school, and the people she called friends have stabbed her in the back so many times. And it's just so sad to see. It's so sad to see when you have friends that bend over backwards for you and, you know, would do anything for you. And likewise for them, you know, I jump in front of a train for some of them. Not all of them, a train's quite heavy. But do you know what I mean? Like, just, they're the kind of relationships you need to have and you need to build, and you just need to be very, very cautious, because you don't know who you're going to meet in life. You know, there's so many people I've met out here that I don't know what they're like, I don't know their vibe, I don't know what kind of person they're like, you know, until I get to know them for a few months and I really sort of understand them. Meeting people's parents as well, top thing I recommend. If you have friends, meet their parents. I know it sounds silly, I know that sounds silly and a little bit childish, but then you can see what kind of person they're like, because everybody is a little version of their parents, mum or dad. And if they only have one parent, they'll be almost identical to their one parent. Like my mate Steve, him and his mum are two peas in a pod. I love them both so much, and they lock heads so much because they're just two peas. They love each other so much, and they both try and help each other, but they just, do you know what I mean? Me and my mum, exactly the same. We love each other so much, but God, can we throw bricks at each other sometimes? Do you know what I mean? And so, simple things, you know, we need to be able to speak to each other. And this whole diet and nutrition and being able to deal with thoughts and emotions, and then be able to live our lives properly without stressing about eating or stressing about harming yourself. You know, that this is where this whole idea is going. We need to stop hurting ourselves in every way, physically, mentally. And then I really do think that fitness is a good tool for that, because rather than hurting yourself physically and getting that psychological release, you're throwing yourself into fitness and getting that physical release in the same way. Because you still feel knackered, you're releasing good hormones in the brain, rather than just hurting yourself or force feeding and then feeling crap, or purging and, you know, again feeling crap. You'll feel good after a workout, and you'll feel worked, you'll feel tired, you'll still feel the same as you do having hurt yourself, because fitness, you do hurt yourself. Generally speaking, you're ripping and tearing and damaging your muscles in order for them to grow. So in theory, you're still hurting yourself. If you want to have that psychological barrier, you're still hurting yourself with fitness, but it's for your betterment, not to your detriment. And so yeah, that's my personal opinion on the whole diet and training. You know, we need to focus on ourselves, and once we've focused on ourselves as individuals, everything else comes into place. And I just really want to get this stigma knocked out of the park. I really hate all this, I can't ask for help, blah blah blah. It's horrible. It's horrible when some of my closest friends, family have come to me and said, you know, I felt hopeless. I felt, you know, and I'm thinking, but I was always here. Why didn't you message me? And it hurts me physically. It really hurts me when my friends tell me months or years after the fact that they were abused or attacked, or they're damaging themselves for no good reason. I have a friend at the moment who is very much on the self-destructive path, and I'm trying my absolute hardest to help. We can't seem to FaceTime for some reason, and it's so hard. She thinks that she's fat, and even though she's not, and just it's the psychological barriers that she has in place that we need to knock down, and that's something we're trying to do together. Granted, it's a lot harder now that I'm around the other side of the world, but I'll always be there for, especially my clients and my friends and my family. You need to be there as an emotional support and just help physically as well. Yes, every problem has a solution, but sometimes that solution's not what you want to hear, and it's hard. So you have to start off quite lightly. Do you know what I mean? But just quickly bringing this all back round to make full circle, in terms of nutrition, I think nutrition has a massive benefit on our mental health, because if you're eating the wrong foods and you're like McDonald's, let's take McDonald's for a prime example. If you eat McDonald's every day, that's not good, healthy, nutritious food. You're not giving your body what it needs, and therefore you're not stimulating your brain with the right foods. Now, I know some people will say it's ridiculous, but your body and your brain needs a certain amount of nutrients a day. It needs certain things in order for it to function properly. So you need to eat a vast array of fruit and vegetables. Primarily, it is all to do with fruit and vegetables, and that's what a lot of people don't want to hear. They don't want to do, because they just want McDonald's. They want the greasy, high-calorie food, and they don't really think about it. But I think by altering your nutrition, getting in good, healthy, nutritious foods will help you in order to better yourself, because your brain will be getting what it needs so it can function properly. And then with your brain functioning properly, you have opened up so much more possibilities in order for physical betterment and stopping these barriers from coming in, and physically helping yourself get into fitness. And again, please do not listen to people on flipping YouTube. Again, please do not listen to misinformation. You need to corroborate your sources with 2 or 3 different people. If you just hear one person say something that you think is on a whim, do not listen to it. Corroborate it. Go and Google it, research it. Okay? Everything that I say, everything I've researched, I have not only listened to some of the best health professionals on YouTube speak about it, but also you look online about some of the best doctors and health professionals out in the world that say very similar things. They might not be word for word, but they say very similar things, and you can take all of those different bits that are exactly the same, and you can then understand what is right and what is wrong. Going back to that bodybuilder in the gym who said you burn more calories on a weight session than a cardio session. Like, I could not believe, I still cannot believe he legitimately thinks that. It baffles me. It absolutely baffles me. Cardio is cardio. It's a reason. People do cardio to lose weight. That's the point of cardio. And to obviously build your cardiovascular system in order for you to be able to run more and do more. It blows my mind how somebody of that experience level is still getting things wrong, dramatically wrong. So please don't listen to everything you hear. Go and corroborate it. I know that I've corroborated what I've said, so please, please go. I will name him because I love him. He's an absolute G, and I think that honestly, he might shout at you, but he really does know what he's talking about. Greg Doucette, I've listened to him for years, screaming at a camera, talking about, because he's 10 times more qualified than I am, and he knows his shit. He knows his shit. If you've never heard of him, if you've never listened to him, go check him out. He's specifically about fitness. You know, I'm trying to really open your minds up into the mental health side of things, because I think it's a taboo subject that needs to be kicked in the arse. We need to open up mental health more as a planet, as a society, and we need to understand that the mind and the body all work as one. And some people really struggle to do fitness because of their own mental problems and their own mental barriers towards leaving the house and eating food and different things. So I really don't know what I'm going to title this video. This is really just me be rambling about the whole nutrition. I think it's going to be something like how nutrition can benefit your physical well-being. But yeah, I mean, I really hope you took something away from this, guys. I mean, it was just me rambling. I did corroborate and use some actual statistics. So please go and Google, go and have a little look. You know, there's so much research that you can do. I mean, obviously, please drop me a message. You don't have to pay for a program in order to speak to me, okay? You can drop me a message, and if I have time, obviously, I will reply to you. And, you know, I'm more than happy to help people. You know, if you have, I mean, I won't be able to talk to you for hours. I'm a very, very busy man. But if you have a quick question about something that I've just said, or something I have said, please just drop me a message, and I will try and help you. You know what I mean? As much as I'm out here to try and make a living for myself and try and become someone, I care about the individuals more than I care about money particularly. You know, we need to help each other more as a society, and somebody has to start somewhere. For God's sake, somebody's got to start somewhere. And again, like I say, I want mind and body fitness. I want to be just help. I want to help the masses, and I want to get this stigma out. And you know, people need to open their eyes up a lot more. People need to open their eyes a lot more into what's happening into the world today. I mean, we live in such a crappy world if you really think about it. You got Ukraine and Russia. I mean, you had COVID. I mean, what's next? What is next? Global warming, you know, veganism, the animal holocaust. Like, I mean, what's next? What is next? So, you know, you have to look at your individual life and just think, are you happy? And do something about it. We do not have enough time on this planet to not be happy. It's as simple as that. We need to live our lives to the fullest. We need to be happy. We need to look back. We need to be on our deathbeds and think, bloody hell, that was awesome. That was awesome. Simple as that. Simple as that, guys.